Hey, Monkees fans. Welcome to Podcast Valley Sunday, Monkees On Tour, Part 2. We're going to pick up exactly where we left off in Part 1. Thanks for checking us out. So yeah, Peter comes out. He's dressed all in white.
A big round of applause for Peter Tart!
And he's playing the banjo and singing Cripple Creek. And the kids go crazy. Kids love it. Which,
oh yeah, they're loving everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And isn't this like Peter's exact outfit from Head?
It might be.
From Circle Sky? It looks very familiar.
Yeah, well, they're like even.
Looks like something really comfortable to be wearing under the lights on stage, too.
That looks like a thick sweater. Like even when Mike comes out, he's in a white sweater as well.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Seems warm.
And it's kind of cool in each of these parts. They have like the Monkees solo sets, and then they have like an interview with each guy, and they show him doing something. And with Peter, he talks about how like after a show for 12 hours, his ears are ringing, and he's got to find a quiet place and some place to just go walking because he's always running.
So you walk just a little green and a little quiet, you hope, if you can find it any place. Helps if you can.
When he finishes the song, he looks so happy. His grin is ear to ear. He's so stoked, and the crowd goes crazy. And Bobby Hart was saying that Peter was frustrated he wasn't singing more because he was a folk singer and he did all that before, and now he's not getting utilized the way he was.
Yeah, for real. But
they needed to identify the group by the lead vocals, and Mickey has one of the greatest pop voices in history, essentially, like so good. So it became he and Davey. And Mickey didn't think he'd be able to sing the songs when Bobby and Tommy would give them to him. And Tommy would take him aside and like coach him through it. And then eventually he would nail it in like one take every time, he said. So
for real, yes.
Mickey just wanted to get out of there, I think. So that's why he just sang so well, so he didn't have to do it again. Peter mentions the Candy Store Prophets were the opening band as well as the backup band. And the whole thing for the solo sets was so the guys could go and change their clothes and come out. And that was kind of the whole situation for the solo spots.
Give them each a breather.
Yeah.
Well, whoever's not on stage gets to sit back, take some oxygen, and just say, holy shit, for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually another thing Bobby Hart was saying is when they got to Toronto, they were treated like royalty. Like the limos came out to meet the plane on the tarmac, and they just got off the plane right into the limos. And they said that in Toronto, they had nurses at all the shows with wet towels. So when girls were passing out, they just throw a wet towel to them and put it on their face. And then Mike was saying for Peter's solo act, what he was doing what he usually did in New York, in the Village, like his folky banjo stuff. And he says it was oddly well received by Monkees fans. He says usually a banjo song doesn't go over too well with 14-year-old girls, but here it did. So Peter's part's done. Now it's Mike's part. And he comes out, and it's funny, when he comes out, he walks out playing air bass.
Yep.
And then he picks up 6 maracas, and he sings, "You can't judge a book by looking at its cover." It's really weird to see him without a guitar up there.
It is
just
different.
Like shaking maracas, singing like crazy. In his little interview piece, he says he used to go up on stage in an empty theater and play to it like it was full.
And I kept thinking to myself, someday. But instead of saying play, instead of thinking, well, I've made it, I keep thinking, someday.
For real, that's a real thing. Like, even when you make it is, you build it up in your head all your life, but it's not quite what you thought it was.
Yeah.
It's not quite on your terms yet. And that's probably what Mike's thinks, like, yeah, this is cool, but someday.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do this right. And in his book, Infinite Tuesday, he talks a bit about this particular Bo Diddley song and what seeing Bo Diddley meant to him and stuff, and why he did this on stage.
Yeah.
Bo Diddley's maraca player doing all the crazy moves.
Yeah, Jerome.
It's just flying maracas everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's great. And then, in his commentary thing, Mike says, like, he saw no distinction between Chuck Berry and Carl Perkins because they're all a part of who Mike was musically. So when it came time to do his solo set and he chose this song, he didn't think it was anything weird to do this Bo Diddley song. He's like, well, no, this is help me and I'll help other people and this and that. And he talks about Jerome, calls him Jerome, what's his name, from the Bo Diddley band, and how when he got his chance, that's what he wanted to do. But he says in the context of a Monkees concert, it was surreal. But the Monkees were so surreal that it was fine. And so that's also how Mike kept sneaking country music into the Monkees. It was like the Monkees were such a free-for-all. If you just think of the concept of the Monkees in general, it's ridiculous. So you can get away with anything.
Boom!
Totally.
Which is pretty awesome. So then it's Davey's solo spot, and Mike intros him as the world's best looking midget, and the girls go crazy. And in the show, he sings "I Want to Be Free," but his actual solo set that he chose was "Gonna Build a Mountain."
Yeah.
Right, but they in the commentary, I think Mike says the reason they had to go with "I Want to Be Free" was royalty issues. Like they didn't want to pay for "Gonna Build."
But do you think, that being said, is it Davey with the other Monkees playing behind him, or is it Davey with the backing band? I can't tell.
I can't tell either because they don't really show. It's a lot of close-ups of Davey or behind Davey when he's like on his knees crooning to the crowd.
This is doing "I Want to Be Free," and it's like it's easy to forget that up until "Daydream Believer," this was the Davey song.
Yeah.
This was his signature tune. He gets right into it.
He does, man. He does. And in his little interview part, he says he doesn't even know what day it is half the time. And because usually every minute when they're doing the TV show, every minute of the day is laid out for them. But now on tour, they have so much time to do anything.
I got up this morning at 11 o'clock and I went over there and played with the swan for an hour.
You played with Mike, you played with the swan?
She's got my jacket.
When Davey's on his knees crooning, it's an awesome image. And they cut to this girl who looks like Velma and Daphne in the same person. She's dressed in the orange stuff, but she has like the Velma hair. And she's just getting taken away by cops because she's losing her mind too much.
Yep.
And Bobby Hart says, like, by the time they were on the road, Mickey was comfortable on stage, was a total pro. And then in 1976, he calls it the first Monkees revival. They went on the Dolan Jones Boys Heart Tour. And they called it the guys who sang them and the guys that wrote them. And they toured America and Southeast Asia and did a bunch of stuff that way. So they did get to go up on stage and have the girls love them too.
Wonder what that record sounded like.
I hear it's really awesome in the middle.
I've heard that too.
I heard it from two handsome guys. And Peter says that Davey's the only one in the show, the only monkey who sings a Monkees song on this show for a solo piece. He says, like, for Peter, the teenage girls throwing themselves at him wasn't all that interesting because they couldn't calm down enough to have, like, a conversation with him. So he said, like, there's all these girls around going crazy, but there's no connection to them because if you tried to talk to any of them, they would just scream in your face. And that'd be the end of it. Mike was saying, like, when Davey does the "I Want to Be Free" and goes down on one knee, it's like if any of them kind of did that seriously, it would look dumb. But for Davey, because it was his whole bag, it like worked for him, and it was awesome. Then Mickey comes out. Mickey's wearing his jacket inside out, so it's like a crazy pink and red color. And they're trying to.
It's his first day at Bel Air Academy or something.
Exactly. and Mike and him do this funny thing where they're trying to hand the microphone to each other and just keep missing each other and all this stuff. Just fun, goofy stuff. And then Mickey goes into "I've Got a Woman" by Ray Charles.
I got a woman. She's got to be.
When they talk to Mickey in his little interview piece, he says, like, he wants to one day build. He was at these old houses where, like, people built them with their own hands. And
I really got hung up on it because When I was a kid, I used to build a lot of things. And I know I've got a lot going for me with the music and the show and everything, but still, someday I'd like to make something that'll last. Something important. Something I can say is my own.
Which is very interesting. And then for his performance piece, it's like does the James Brown thing where he goes down on the knee and Mike puts the jacket over his shoulders and carries him off, and then he throws the jacket off and runs back to the mic and starts singing. It does that whole thing, which is weird because it is a beat for beat James Brown thing.
Yeah.
But Mickey just
I think that's a Monkey Man cape they actually use for this, by the way.
Oh, really? That's awesome. That's even better.
But weird about what Mickey says, and like, you know, this is great, but hopefully I build something. My legacy. His legacy is the Monkees.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't see that happening. Maybe he doesn't feel quite that way, but it's his life's work.
Yeah.
That's what keeps him going. It's what sustains him.
Yeah, and at that time too, they'd only been doing the things, recording the series for less than a year. They've done this stuff, but it must just kind of still felt like, okay, this is just a gig I'm doing now, but one day, like, this is going to move on and I'll do something
I'm
new.
sure rock and roll seemed like a very temporary thing.
Yeah, because rock and roll itself was only like 12 years old. So it'd be like if rock and roll started in 2008. And right now we're like, oh, well, this will be done soon.
Oh, yeah, this shit's over, man.
Yeah. And Bobby Hart says that when they were making the first record, they were unaware that Mike was recording songs with his own musicians as well. And he had no idea until the record came out and they picked up the record. And we're like, oh, there's other songs on this sung by Mike. And had no idea, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then Peter was saying like Mickey was an architecture major when the Monkees started. And,
That's true.
And that he tried to build his own gyrocopter. But he drilled some holes wrong and figured the structural integrity was compromised, so he just quit making it. And Peter was like, well, how would you have gotten out of his basement anyway if you finished it? Have this huge gyrocopter in the basement. You can get it up the stairs.
Oh, my God, that's funny.
And Mike says, the basis of the whole thing was a TV show. And once you understand that, everything falls into place. But if you come to it from the musical side, things don't add up. Like, if you know the Monkees were a TV show band and then they made these records and that's why they're touring, and you just keep coming back to, well, they're a TV show band. This whole thing is like, well, makes sense. But if you're like a musician looking at the Monkees and they're all of a sudden touring arenas as their first tour, you're like, what the hell is this? These guys can hardly play. This is garbage. And he's like, yeah, like they had writers who could make up the characters. So people didn't think of the real people who were playing those characters. But once they came off screen, it was tough to know who was who and what you were really like, because it was their same names and everything. So yeah, it was very confusing for the public. So then we go into Steppin' Stone, and it's wicked. It's just like the very end of it. Steppin' Stone's just a great garage band song and a great song for the Monkees to rip out on. So they do that. It's a lot of quick cuts, a lot of crowd shots. The band looks great. They get off stage in the limo and off they go. And then there's a montage over I'm a Believer. And then Mike gives a shout out to bands. They're on the radio. They cut back to the radio station.
We'd like to thank everybody for making it a wonderful stay. We'd like to thank the Rolling Stones for being a great group. We'd like to thank the Mamas and Papas for making it good. We'd like to thank Loving Spoonful for making it happy. But most of all, we'd like to thank the Beatles for starting it all up for us.
These are the only bands who are out so far.
Exactly, yeah. And the Archies for making us look more legit. And I can always remember that part. Remember the first time I ever saw this episode was Mike giving the Beatles the shout out for starting it all and that kind of thing. And I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
me too.
They're not being like, oh, we're the Monkees, we're a band. It's like, no, if it wasn't for the Beatles and A Hard Day's Night, this would not even be here whatsoever.
Yeah, for real.
And I like that they went with that. Bobby Hart says Steppin' Stone was written for Paul Revere and the Raiders, but they turned it down. But then after it was a hit with the Monkees, they re-recorded it and put it out as a Paul Revere and the Raiders single.
Just screw those guys, man.
I know, right? Like, what a weird thing. Like, nah, that song sucks. We're not doing it. Big hit, we'll do that. That's a great song. Like, come on. What do you wear? Costumes.
Brutal.
And he says, Steppin' Stone was the Monkees song that's been recorded by the most bands over every other Monkees song. And he brings up the Sex
makes
Pistols
sense.
recorded it and all that as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, true.
So Peter was saying when they started shooting the show, the pilot took 10 days to film. But then they got down to 5 days, and then they got down to 3 days because they needed more time to rehearse, because now they're going on these tours and making these albums. So the show time got shorter and shorter.
And like these last few episodes of the show itself, we've talked about how like the story section is pretty slim.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like full length performance videos or clip shows or interviews or just to pad it out to 22 minutes.
Yeah, it also seemed like they were pushing the band more. Like they wanted to show the band playing songs, and then they wanted interviews with the real guys, so you could see who the real guys were. So they were trying to
I think that's
make that line. And then Peter was saying like on stage it was just them playing, which led them wanting to play on their own records, which led to Headquarters, which led to this whole musical career they all got out of it.
Yeah, for real.
And then at the end, Peter says he sees David Winter's name, and he says David Winters had nothing to do with our stage show. But Mike was saying David Winters put together a whole stage show.
Weird.
I don't think they're in the same room together.
Yeah, he was paid to supervise them figuring out the show or whatever.
Yeah. And then Mike was saying about the records once they started doing their own thing. He's like, when we were just actors, it didn't matter that there was someone from Broadway, a country guy, a folk singer, because they weren't supposed to be real people making music anyway. They were just playing these characters on the show.
Yeah.
But then they got the idea for using the big video screens from when they went and saw the Beatles, because he was like, they were all like, man, they should have big screens going behind them. They should be having more visuals. And so then
something to look at, because otherwise just teeny little dudes.
Yeah. So it's funny, they got influenced to get the screens by the Beatles not having the screens. That's what made them think they should have big screens.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And so Mike also says like we'd been focused so much on the TV show that now when we're touring there are such different animals to deal with, but it was still them doing both. So that was crazy. And then that's essentially the end of Monkees on Tour.
We talked about they play a little I'm a Believer thing there.
Yeah.
Which last episode they gave the shout out to Clarksville with the little silent movie. So they had to. It was important, I think, for them to acknowledge Clarksville and I'm a Believer, kind of the main tunes of the first season.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was
as like a final curtain call for those. So they wrapped it up pretty neat over the course of the last few episodes of the first season. Yeah,
definitely. And I feel this episode specifically is probably many fans, like is a fan favorite to many fans.
Definitely.
Because I know.
Did you know 2 days after this episode aired, the boys went into the studio to start work on Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones.
Wow. Man, oh man. That's crazy. I did not know that.
True fact.
But yeah, it just helps to see the boys as themselves, playing concerts, being the Monkees. Not the TV show Monkees, but the real music Monkees.
Yeah.
And the way it was cut was so good, gives you that excitement and vibe of a live show. And it's actually been the way so many live performances have been cut ever since. Like
for real,
fast, action-packed stuff. And it really gave you the hectic feeling of being in that crowd and what it would have been like to be those guys.
Yeah, the pre-show and the backstage and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was nothing like, because like Hard Day's Night was like, oh, here's the Beatles on tour, wink, wink.
Yeah.
That's not really Paul's grandfather. It's like, shit like that.
Yeah. But yeah, this was like for real them. And it's cool to see these guys who were hired for this TV show, who are now in a mainstream band going out there and doing it. It's it's a thing that obviously had never happened before.
Right.
And it hasn't really happened to that level since. Like a band for TV that got that famous.
I suppose you're right.
Because I don't know who else there would be in that running.
Oh, the Partridge Family. There's Catwalk up here in Canada. Okay, they don't count. You have to go to like actual kid bands like the Wiggles or something.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But even there,
Like-
they probably had that in mind. Like, you're going to be playing live. This is what's going to be happening. It's not like the Wiggles got hired to be
Yeah.
the Wiggles on their show, and then somehow they got huge and were touring arenas.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Good point. Good point.
And it was also at a time where people were less cynical towards it, where the Monkees could function as this band. You know what I mean? Like, after the show, they kept putting out records, maybe not as popular as like the first 4 or 5 records because the show was on.
Right.
But it's
Right.
like how we said, Mickey Dolenz and Mike Nesmith are still touring, like with the Monkees thing, and still doing well.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me. It'll always be crazy
Like,
to me.
It's different. The Monkees is not like any other band or TV show or thing. Like Mike himself, I think, says the Monkees are a singularity. There's nothing else quite like it.
Yeah.
That there's different levels that you interact with the band, whether it's on the show or with the music or just their books and whatever, and the hunger to like get into it and find out more and find all the tunes and pick your favorite dude and have your favorite songs is like, it feels different than anything else.
Yeah, 100%. And Peter actually calls out Mickey saying like the Vulcan thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I understand what Mickey's saying with that, but it's not true because we did become a band. Like Leonard Nimoy never did become a Vulcan, but we did become a band. So that's
Leonard. It would be yes if Leonard Nimoy actually became a Vulcan.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Grew
Which would
the
be-
ears for real.
Which would be crazier than the Monkees becoming a real band, I gotta say.
Just a touch.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's that episode. It was it was a long breakdown, no doubt about it. But I feel it was
Yes.
it had to go
I think
that
it's
way.
worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how it had to go.
yeah. It's the last episode of the season. Like, what a great way to go out too for the season.
Yeah, man, for real.
But yeah,
it was
yeah.
just like a celebration of the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
and look how far they came, and it like legitimized the whole operation.
Yeah, exactly, in a big way.
Yeah.
And now they're just about to bring out what many consider to be their best album. So, and I gotta say, I'm very excited for season 2.
Yeah.
Because their hair grows out over the summer. They get even more famous. They get bigger. Like I'm very excited. I think we're gonna look back on like Royal Flush and just be like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
Once you
agreed.
get to Froda's
Agreed.
Caper. So now what's that I hear? Is that another theme song coming in?
You've heard of wool hats, haven't you? It's Mike's hat. It's knitted.
Here we have the actual randomatic countdown, courtesy of the Woolhat of Mystery, which, in case you're new to the show,
Welcome.
yes, welcome to the show. And we just have a big old hat of every Monkees song that was ever on an album or a single, and we've been picking them at random, 3 a show basically throughout this this thing we do. And then after we pick up the song, we decide where it goes on our personal countdown of our favorite Monkees songs. That about sums it up.
Yeah.
So let's get on into the Woolhat of Mystery.
All
Maybe
right.
I'll go first
Yep,
this time.
it's your
What do you
turn.
say?
Your turn. So
All right.
what'd you get there?
Oh, could have sworn we'd done it before, but I guess we haven't. It's The Poster
Oh,
from Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees.
The circus is coming to town. It said on the poster. Get your tickets
nice,
now
nice.
before
This one obviously has a special feelings for me at least is when we found those tapes that we've talked about many times at the used store,
The tapes.
and it was a song that was not on the box set. So it was like a brand new Monkees song for us.
Yeah, that's important.
And
That was important to us.
That was at that time. Because I think I've said this before, but I always thought that on that box set was like the Police box set, like everything was on that box set. So to find out it wasn't, and there was all these other songs, it was mind blowing because it was hard to find stuff back then.
Davy Jones co-wrote the song with Pitts. I forget the guy's first name. But anyway, it's an actual Davy song. Basically, kind of a rewrite of Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite by the Beatles, where John Lennon was just picking stuff off a circus poster and made a song about it. And kind of what Davy seems to be doing here, too.
Yeah, and it's got that cool organ intro, too. Yeah, it just lays down a cool vibe.
Doesn't waste any time.
I was gonna say it's a quick 2 minutes 21 seconds, and it feels like it zips by super awesome fast. Whereas some other Davy songs seem to slow down and lag a little bit. This one does not. It's got that weird solo in the middle as well, and it's.
So written by Davy Jones himself and his buddy Steve Pitts. It's Hal Blaine on the drums, and percussion, tambourine, and glockenspiel by Mr. Gary Coleman. I'm not sure it's the same Gary Coleman.
What you talking about, Davy?
Snatches the tambo right out of Davy's hand. Arranged by Mr. Shorty Rogers, whose name comes up a lot in these monkey stuff.
Yeah.
Anytime there's any horns or string business, chances are Shorty Rogers is involved.
I wonder if that's who Shorty Blackwell was named after halfway.
I think he might have had something to do with it.
So the poster, where do you feel this goes in the countdown?
Oh shit, yeah, we gotta do that. We're in this neighborhood with Daddy's Song and Sweet Young Thing and Mommy and Daddy and down there, maybe. It ain't no jelly.
No, definitely not a jelly. So Auntie Griselda, what would you listen to first?
Depends on my mood, to be honest.
Okay.
But we could pop that, I think, just above Auntie Griselda.
So between Through the Looking Glass and Auntie Griselda, we got the poster.
Sounds good.
All right, here I go. I'm in the hat.
Yep.
And I am pulling out. Oh my goodness. What do we have here? If I Knew.
If I knew what song this was, I'd tell you.
Exactly.
If I knew what was bothering you, I would run to your side. I don't know why.
Okay, so If I Knew, it's on the Monkees Present. Davy Jones Quiet Jam. There's some cool background vocals. They layer some stuff. It's got a cool chord change and that kind of thing. But overall, I don't know. That's
not one I would reach for too often. It is well sung and well played. It's a pleasant little ditty.
Yes.
But it's not something we typically would put on our list of jams.
So would you say this would go before or after Peter Percival Patterson?
Oh boy.
And above that is
I
Regional
do think
Girl.
It's better with Me Without You. Let's put it between Peter Percival Patterson and Me Without You.
Okay, coming in at 75, we've got If I Knew. And apparently Davy Jones re-recorded this later in his career and put it out. And people seem to have really liked that one. So
I see.
So hey, who knows? What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
thanks, Davey.
Let's move on to the next one. Here we
He
go.
co-wrote that one too. That's 2 in a row co-written by Sir David Jones.
I wonder if we're gonna have
the Earl of Crap.
We'll have an all Davy Jones a countdown here.
Possibly. Here comes the next tune. Ha! Buddy.
What do we got?
It is the instant replay version of You and I.
Boom! This is the Davy Jones song I've been waiting for.
There it is.
Forever. I
had a feeling.
Love this song.
You and I had
it.
It's a good one.
It is so good. Yay.
And it's another one that's like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it gets in and out.
The Hal Blaine Rototoms.
Man, oh man, getting Hal Blaine on that song too? Look out.
Yeah, man.
All right.
It's a good tune. A lot of the Wrecking Crew on board.
This song, it's my favorite Davy Jones song that he sings.
Oh, there it is, folks.
This is it. This is the top of the pops for me. It was so good, so wicked. I remember I played guitar when I heard the song, but when I heard this song, I wanted to start playing bass. And it's not even like it's like Long Title where the bass is unreal. The bass is very simple, but it pushes the song along. And it shows Davey can rock out and play really great rock out songs.
Yeah, man.
And write really great rock out songs. As we say, this is an all Davy Jones, Woolhat of Mystery, written by and sung by.
That's wild. I think we've had 3 Davy sung songs before, but these are all co-written by him.
Yeah.
Him and Bill Chadwick this time, who also co-wrote that previous song.
Yeah. You have Hal Blaine on drums, which is amazing. You have Neil Young on guitar, amazing.
Yeah.
Joe Osborne's the bass player on this, and it's a great tune. So for me, I'm thinking up high.
Finally, we pick out this tune.
Finally,
I agree, it's a great one. And it's wow, a good one to wrap up season 1 of the Woolhat of Mystery. That's for sure.
That's very true. I'm glad we didn't go out on a dud. I'm glad we went out on a super high note.
No this time.
Went out on a Mickey Dolenz high note. Even though he doesn't sing on it, he can sing the highest. Okay, so where are we going to put this guy in there?
Let's scroll up to the top 10.
Oh, I'm there.
Where we have like Tapioca Tundra, I Love You Better, and You Bring the Summer at the back end of the top 10.
Honestly, I would even go after You Just May Be the One.
Ooh.
And put it in at number 7, right before The Girl I Knew Somewhere.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna go with you on that. So the new number 7 is You and I, the instant replay version.
The real version.
I mean, the real version.
I wonder why when they were doing Justice, they went for the other You and I in the mid-90s. Because this could have really fit in good if they grunged it up.
Possibly, but that other You and I is kind of autobiographical. And it's been 20 years since the other one came out.
That's very true.
And I think that one could have used a little modernizing, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying. But this You and I, you cannot approve on this one. I'm sorry.
So good, this one.
So all that said, you want to run through the top 10 real quick?
So do you want to start top 10 or want me to start this time?
You start it, and I'll do the odd number one.
All right, so at number 10, we've got I Love You Better.
Number 9, Tapioca Tundra.
It cannot be a part of me, for now it's part of you.
Number 8, The Girl I Knew Somewhere.
You tell me that you've never been this way before.
Number 7, You and I.
In a year or maybe 2, we'll be gone and someone new will take our place.
Number 6, You Just May Be the One.
Someone to understand them, and you just may be the one.
Number 5, Listen to the Band.
Weren't they good that made me happy? I think I can make it alone.
Number 4, Sir, Go Sky.
And it looks like we've made it once again. Yes, it looks like we've made it to the end.
Number 3, Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Another Pleasant Valley Sunday. Another Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Number 2, long title, Do I Have to Do This All Over Again?
Do I have to do this all over again? Didn't I do it right the first time?
And number 1, the theme from Head, of the Porpoise song.
Amazing. What a great top 10 that is.
That is toy.
We're getting to we have a solid top 35 essentially. I don't even know anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of good tunes, and there's a lot of good tunes to go.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And more than a few Dudaroos, I'm sure. But we're gonna have to wait to next season to hear from those.
So that's the wrap on season 1 of the Monkees and season 1 of Podcast Valley Sunday.
How about that?
That's crazy. It's a big day.
Amazing.
I'm glad we went out with you and I. The one I've been searching for since we started the Woolhat Of Mystery on episode 2.
For realsies. And it's been so much fun, dude. I don't know. I can't even express how it's been such a blast.
This has been fantastic. It's been even more fun. I'm glad when we were trying to figure out what we want to do as a podcast, that figuring out to break down the Monkees episodes and talk about the Monkees. It's almost like, what else were we even thinking of doing?
I don't think there were too many other ideas.
There really wasn't.
And just having the episodes themselves gives us structure and stuff to talk about. And just the way the countdown is played out has made it a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That was a great call.
And, yeah, man, it's just been just so much fun to do.
Yeah.
And I'm having a blast.
And look how much the world has changed since we started this podcast.
Yes. Is this, do you think it's our fault, Paco?
I don't know, maybe. It was, I think it was when we went to Moonfire. It lit the world on fire.
Oh, man.
But no, fantastic. I want to thank everyone for listening, coming on board as we've gotten more views, more listens, more everything as the time has proceeded. And
absolutely.
I think that's a wrap on season 1 for Podcast Valley Sunday. So Jeff, thank you for coming on this journey halfway only. We've got some surprises coming in between the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2.
Oh, yes. No spoilers, but oh boy.
Yeah, we've got some stuff. And also, yes, there will be some time in between season 1 and 2. So next week, or in 2 weeks from now, we won't be starting season 2 right away, but we also will be giving other things. So sit tight and buckle your seatbelts for season 2. That's when things get crazy.
Hang on to your seats.
Hang on to your seats. All right. So, from me, Paco.
And me, Jeff.
Have yourselves a Monkees little evening.
Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Monkees fans. With everything going on with social distancing, Podcast Valley Sunday will be on every 2 weeks. We hope you're staying safe, we hope you're staying at home, and we hope that you're listening to the Monkees and obviously Podcast Valley Sunday. You can check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And please, rate us and leave a message. We'd love to hear from you. But, as always, be gentle with us. We're very sensitive.